Disappearing felt like the only option, and maybe it was for a moment, but a moment became a habit, and a habit became a life you didn't choose. The problems you left behind? They didn't miss you. They multiplied. The version of you still hiding is getting weaker every day you stay gone. Rest if you need to. Go dark if you must. But there's a difference between a warrior who retreats to return stronger and a man who retreats and never comes back. One of them is still in you. Choose which one walks out of here.
You know what the silence felt like at first. It felt like relief. No noise, no pressure, no one asking anything from you. Just you and the quiet. And for a second, maybe two, that was real. That was right. You needed it. The weight had gotten too heavy. The pace had gotten too fast. And you did what any honest person would do. You pulled back. You went quiet. You disappeared. But here is where it changed. The rest was supposed to be short, a week, a month, maybe a season, long enough to breathe, long enough to come back with something harder. That was the deal, your deal, the one you made with yourself. You broke it. Not all at once, it was slow. One day became 3, 3 became 30, 30 became a number you stopped counting. And the whole time, you called it healing.
That is the trap, not the pain that put you there, the name you gave the hiding. You told yourself you needed more time, and you were right the first time you said it. The second time? Maybe. The 37th time? That was not healing talking. That was comfort talking. And comfort will keep you down forever if you let it use the right words. Healing has a direction. Healing moves towards something. Healing ends. What you have been doing does not end. It just continues. And every morning you wake up in it, a little less of you is left. The version of you at 31 or 28 or 35 or whatever age you are reading the inside of yourself right now, that version had a plan, had a direction, had something he was building. And the day you disappeared, that building stopped. Cold. Just stopped. Not paused. Stopped. Because the plans did not wait. The work did not wait. The window did not wait. The version of yourself you were supposed to become, he is standing somewhere ahead of you, getting further away every day you stay where you are. What does that cost? Not in a year. Not in a decade. Today. What does it cost you today to stay in the hiding? You already know. You feel it in the morning. That weight that is not tiredness. That feeling that is not sadness exactly. It is something else. It is the feeling of knowing you are capable of more and doing less on purpose. That is a specific kind of pain. Not the pain of being broken, the pain of being whole and choosing not to move. That is heavier, a lot heavier, because you cannot tell yourself you have nothing left. You know you do. You can feel it sitting there, waiting, watching you wasted every single day. Here is what actually happened. There was a moment you recognized it. Not a speech, not someone telling you, not a message that landed at the right time, just a moment. You were somewhere ordinary, maybe getting up, maybe eating alone, maybe just sitting in a room you had not left in too long, and something shifted. You caught a glimpse of yourself, not in a mirror, in a feeling. And the feeling said, this is not you. Not who you used to be. Not who you wanted to be, just this is not you. The man you had been building yourself into would not recognize this, would not accept this, would not call this healing. That moment was not loud, It did not feel like a turning point. It felt small. But it was the most important second of the last year. Because in that second, you knew. You had always known. You were just finally letting yourself hear it.
The one who has been hiding longest. Not the one who just went quiet last week. The one who has been silent for months. The one whose phone still has unread messages from 6 months ago. The one who says soon every time the question of coming back comes up. That one. You are not healing. You are waiting. And what you are waiting for is permission to come back without having to explain the absence. That permission is not coming. No one is going to hand you a clean re-entry. No one is going to make it easy. No one is going to act like the time didn't pass, or the work didn't stop, or the distance didn't grow. You come back anyway. That is the whole thing. You come back anyway.
The difference between a tactical withdrawal and a full retreat is the return. That is the only difference. The withdrawal is planned. It has a purpose. Pull back, recover, come back harder. Every part of that move is pointed forward. The retreat has no plan. The retreat is just away from the pressure, away from the expectation, away from the work, away from the version of yourself that demands more from you than you want to give. One of those has honor, the other has comfort. And you know deeply which one you have been in. You do not need someone to tell you. You already told yourself. That was the moment in the quiet room. That was the glimpse. That was the second when the word healing started to sound hollow, even inside your own head. Enough.
What gets built in the silence? Not what you think. The idea was that you would rest, recover the energy, come back with more. That is a real thing. That happens, but only if the silence is working for you. When it stops working, when it becomes just silence for the sake of silence, something else starts to build. Fear. Not the kind that shows up fast and loud, the kind that grows slow and quiet, the kind you do not notice until one day the thing that used to feel possible feels impossible. Not because you got weaker physically, because you got comfortable with not trying. That is what long disappearing does. It does not rest you, it trains you to be small. And you are not small. That's the whole problem. You know you are not small, and you've been living small for months. What does that do to a man who knows better? It does not just cost time, it changes how you see yourself. And that change, if it goes long enough, is hard to undo.
Not impossible. Hard. There is a difference. And here is what you need to hear clearly. Coming back costs something. Real cost. Not comfortable cost. Not just get back out there cost. It costs the story you have been telling yourself. The story where the hiding was necessary. The story where you were protecting yourself. The story where the break was justified. Some of it was true, some of it, but not all of it. And you know which part was not true. You have to give that part up. You have to look at the last stretch of time and say, some of it was real rest, and some of it was me choosing not to move. Both things, at the same time, without making one of them go away. That is not easy. Owning the second part is not easy. But it is the only way forward that is actually forward.
What does the man look like who came back from this? Not polished, not triumphant, not arriving with a speech and a clean shirt. He looks tired. He looks like someone who knows what he lost. He does not pretend the absence did not happen. He does not act like he was gone for good reasons only. He just comes back. He picks up what he can. He starts with what is in front of him.
He does not demand the world meet him where it is. He meets the world where it is. And then something happens. Slowly, without announcement, without anyone making a big deal of it, he starts to become something that the comfort could not have built. Not tougher in the way people say it, tougher in the real way, the way that knows what it cost to stop, the way that does not take forward movement for granted, the way that works with a quiet that is different, not the hollow quiet of hiding, but the focused quiet of a man who knows what inaction costs. That is what comes back.
And none of that gets built in the hiding. None of it. You do not find that version of yourself in the room where you have been disappearing. He is not in there. He never was. He is out there, in the work, in the showing up, in the hard conversation you have been putting off, in the project you walked away from, in the relationship you went quiet on, in the version of your day where you do the hard thing first instead of the comfortable thing always. He is in all of that, and the gap between you and him closes one decision at a time. Not one big decision, one decision, then the next, then the one after that. You are not rebuilding everything tonight. You are just deciding to move. Move.
The problems you left behind did not wait. That sentence from the beginning, it was not just words. Think about what actually grew while you were gone. The work that piled up, the relationships that cooled, the opportunities that closed, the version of yourself that other people had. That version got smaller in their heads with every month you stayed absent. Not because they are cruel, because that is what absence does. It shrinks things. And the longer you stay gone, the harder the return becomes. Not impossible, but harder. The man who comes back after a week has a different mountain to climb than the man who comes back after a year. You know which one you are closer to, and you know that every day you do not move, you are adding weight to that mountain. You are not staying the same, you are making it harder, every single day. That is not meant to crush you. That is meant to show you the cost is real and it is ongoing, and it does not stop until you do.
Here is what the return actually looks like. Not a comeback story, not a highlight, not a moment where everything clicks and you feel the way you thought you would feel when you finally decided to come back. It does not feel like that. The first day back feels like starting over with evidence of failure. It feels like facing everything that grew in your absence. It feels like the work you avoided looking you directly in the face. And you do it anyway. Not because it feels good, because the alternative, going back to the hollow quiet, is something you have already seen. You already know what that room does to you. You already felt what it costs. The choice is not between comfort and pain. The choice is between two kinds of pain. The pain of doing the work, the pain of knowing you did not. One of them builds something, the other just takes. And you already know which is which.
The man who vanished to protect himself. The man who told himself the silence was healing. The man who stayed gone past the point of rest. That man made a decision every day. He decided, not today, not today, not today. And every not today had weight. Not the weight of one day, the cumulative weight of all of them together. You have been carrying that. That is part of why you feel heavy. Not just from what you lost, from the daily decision to stay away from it. That weight does not go away in the hiding. It compounds. But here is what nobody tells you. The moment you move, the moment you take the first real step back toward the work, that weight starts to change. It does not disappear, but it shifts. It moves from the weight of avoidance to the weight of progress. And those two things feel completely different. One of them is dead weight. The other one is the weight of building something. The other one you can carry. The other one you have carried before. You know what that feels like.
You have not stopped. Not fully. If you had fully stopped, you would not feel the way you feel. You would be numb. You would not be here with this thing sitting in your chest. The fact that it sits there, the fact that it has weight, means the part of you that knows better is still running, still watching, still waiting for you to make a move. That part did not vanish. That part does not disappear no matter how long you stay in the silence. It just waits, quietly, with a patience that has nothing to do with forgiveness and everything to do with knowing you will come back. Because that part of you has seen you before, has watched you pull through before, has felt what you are capable of. And it is not impressed by your absence. It is not moved by your excuses. It is not softened by your reasons. It is just waiting for the decision.
And the decision is not complicated. That is the hardest part to accept. You have been treating it like it requires more preparation, more healing, more clarity, more time, like there is a right condition for the return, like something has to align first. Nothing has to align. You move. That is the whole decision. You move before you feel ready. You move before the fear is gone. You move before the path is clear. You move before you know how it ends, because that is the only version of moving that is real. Moving when you are ready is not courage. That is just timing. Moving when you are not ready, when the weight is still there, when the doubt is still loud, when the reasons to stay are still very convincing, that is the decision. That is the one that changes everything. Not because it is dramatic, because it is yours, made in full knowledge of the cost, made without waiting for permission, made without a guarantee, just made. The man you almost let die in the silence, he was not weak. You were not weak for disappearing. Hard things hit you, real things, things that would put most people on the floor. The withdrawal made sense. At the time, it made complete sense. But the man who comes back from that, the man who survived the silence and chose to walk back out of it, that man carries something that nobody who stayed comfortable will ever have. Not a badge, not a story to tell, a knowing, the deep knowing of exactly what it costs to stop, and the decision to not let it cost that again. That knowing is not soft, it is not warm, it is hard and clear and exact, and it will drive you in a way that comfort never could. The ones who never left the work do not know what you know. They have not felt the price of the silence. They have not sat in the hollow comfort and felt it slowly take from them. You have, and you came back anyway, or you are about to.
That is not a small thing. The return is the victory, not the rest, not the time away, not the silence. The return. The moment you decide to come back after everything that pushed you out, that is the moment. Not the moment you succeed after, not the moment the work gets good again, not the moment people notice you are back. The moment you decide. That is the one that matters. That is the one you will look back on. That is the one that defines what you are built from. You disappeared.
That happened. The cost was real. The time is gone. Those things are true. And you are still here. And you still have the part of you that knows what you are supposed to be doing. And it is not too late. Not because it is never too late. It is sometimes too late. But not yet. Not for you. Not today. The version of you who retreats and never comes back, he is still a choice. Not the only choice. Choose.
Go dark if you need to. Rest if the weight is real. Pull back if the ground is too hot to stand on. All of that is allowed. All of that is real. But set an end to it, a real one, not a vague when I feel ready. A decision, a direction, a date if you need it. Because the difference between the man who retreats and returns stronger and the man who retreats and never comes back is not talent, not circumstance, not who had it harder. It is the decision to come back, made clearly, made with the weight of everything it costs, made anyway. You know what you walked away from. You know what grew in the silence. You know exactly what the return will cost. And you are still here, which means the part of you that moves has not gone quiet yet. That part is still running, still waiting, still yours. Give it what it has been waiting for. Come back.